Okay, it's 10 in the morning. I need to clean the entire apartment in the next few hours. I need to go pick up our Christmas tree. I need to go buy cat food for the babies. I need to, well, we all need to bake cookies. And then there's some other thing I'm doing tonight that I can't remember what it is, but it's important and I need to prepare for it and get ready. So I think the thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the 1-minute trailer for the next episode of The Amazing Digital Circus and just talk about that for 9 to 15 hours. Why don't we just do that?
On the next episode of The Amazing Digital Circus, it's time to soak in the sun as everyone has a
that's familiar
fun-filled day
footage.
at the beach.
Then hallway,
On the
POV
next
shot.
episode of The Amazing Digital Circus, it's time to soak in the sun as
Oh, hey, Jax.
On the next episode of The Amazing Digital Circus, it's time to On the next episode of The Amazing Digital Circus... On the next episode...
Okay, they're hiding some shit in those transitions.
It's time.
Okay, we're teasing the exit.
I think I found the way to leave.
My. December 12th, too. The day of the Game Awards. Oh no, the poor Game Awards. They'll get no viewership now. So for the most part, this is footage we already saw in the other teaser that they posted earlier, but then... Who's that? We have a sort of... Anything to that pattern? No, but there's definitely a face in there. And that looks like live action footage, actually, which... It might just be that this is just a transition package that they use with a bunch of glitch graphics in it, and the face was not really meant to be there, but they must have known that we go looking through it, so it feels odd if that would be an accident. It also seems like... Yeah, there's definitely... You can see the beach scene is still present here in this little strip. But once it switches to this strip of something or other, that's a different scene. Which, I doubt there's much that could be taken from that, but... That's a lot of doors that all just have NPC faces on them. A little odd. Like, I don't remember how long that hallway is, but shouldn't there be someone's face on one of these doors? Also, it's a... Oh, hello. Right, it's little Mr. It's Mr. NPC guy. Also, this is a handheld POV shot. Or maybe not handheld, but it's definitely doing the motion jiggle, right? As Mr. NPC pokes his head around the corner. So this is inside someone's point of view. Hi, Hermes. What? Now at the door. Working it out. Out. Oh, and he's through the door. Where were we? Right. Mysterious NPC character pops their head out. Which, again, something's up with that character, but you can make a million theories, but at this point, I just don't feel like there's enough information to really go by to say anything about who they are. And that does seem intentional. Another thing I'm curious about is... Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any changes in the background between the two versions of it. I'm jumping back and forth between the first instance and the next instance to see if there was some difference introduced in the background, but can't see one. Okay, Zooble also has all the same parts. It looks like it is repeating identical footage. The thing is, I wouldn't put it past them to put that fucking some difference in a shadow somewhere or one little thing in the rendering that teases something. And then Jax just laying there. And as we can see from the eyes, right, this is Jax without the mask on. This is Jax. This is the actual person underneath all of that repressing trauma. Kaufmo and Ribbit over there. Was Ribbit he, him, or she, her? There was a thing, I don't remember. There was a thing where Gooseworks confirmed that Ribbit has a specific set of pronouns, and it was different from what everyone thought the pronouns were, but I can't remember which direction it went if everyone thought Ribbit was a girl, and that she was a girl, but he was a boy. Well, he was a boy or she was a girl, or it's a non-binary situation. I don't remember. Possessed by the spirit of Avril Lavigne there for a second. Let's see. Is there anything to glean from this transition? I do wonder about that live-action face. And that just looks like standard data corruption. Red and blue in there, but that makes sense because we're zooming in on Kane's door. Office. Sun, moon, and stars, right? There's a lot of celestial stuff going on with Kane. Which maybe would be worth taking a closer, longer look at. So does that face come back in this one? Yeah, look, there he is. You can see he's still over there. I wonder if it's just because they used stock footage as a base for it or something. Or if we're actually going to get live action footage in the next Digital Circus episode. I could not imagine. I don't think they have the production facilities for that. Yeah, red, blue, green, pixel colors. And then, hello. And then here's definitely something happening. That's Kane doing something. Finger guns. That looks like Zubul laying on the ground, or are they tied up, or... Pomni and Ragatha night scene somewhere. Noticing this because, like, that looks like fireflies, maybe? More than shooting stars, anyway. Purple surface. That could be Jax's head, maybe, but... Door, keys, it's time, we found a way to get out. Right, we're teasing that... Ooh, hello! The Kane dimension. Maybe that's what's on the other side of the door. Because this looks like the same backrooms kind of dimension where Pomni had that scene with Gummy Goo. A little hand in someone's hand, and that does look like Kane's hand that's holding that hand. Gotta hand it to him. Or Kinger. Right. And then Kinger pointing at Pomni. We've got the two buttons, which I don't know if that's Kinger being entranced with a pair of buttons. Okay, so my read so far is that Kinger might have discovered some kind of way to leave. Ooh, very Slender Man. Oh, that's a disconcerting smiley face, that really is. Looks like a POV selfie cam perspective, actually. Kinger's the king. Kings usually have pawns, don't they? Jax's door opening. That's Snow Globe again. Some kind of museum by the looks of it. Ragatha in a chair. That face still hovering over there. Door opening. See, whose door is that? It's a very red room. It's not the office, because that shows up here. Or something that in the color palette with the roof and stuff, that looks like the exit to that office. But of course, and it's like this door is opening, that door is closing. And obviously the office that Pomni got out into, that wasn't getting back to the real world, right? Like going through a door like this, I don't think that's going to let any of them leave. In no small part because I don't think they have anything to go back to. I don't think that their bodies are waiting for them out there. Let's hear that voice a couple of times again.
I think I found the way to leave.
Again, that voice, at a guess, that sounds like Kinger without doing a, oh, yes, well, 12 years of computer science for this, huh? Like, that sounds a little bit like Kinger without doing the Kinger voice.
I think I found the way to leave.
Either that, or I guess it might be the frog. I forgot their name. I forgot what the frog. Goddamn it! I forgot what the frog's name is. But like either that or it's Kaufmo or Ribbit. But it.
I think I found the way to leave. I think I found the way to leave.
Let me just take the volume of that up a bit.
I think I found the way to leave. I think I found the way to leave.
I don't know. I don't know who that is. My best guess is it's Kinger. The crazy crack theory I have in my head is he's the king. Kings usually have pawns. Kane controls a whole bunch of those AI NPCs with his reality warping powers. Kinger has been shown to have reality warping powers. Like Kinger can also alter the rules of the game. He can also fuck with the logic of the digital world. So, what if while Kinger has been going around being all crazy and stuff, what if he had been smart enough to program some AI companions of his own to try and help him find a way to get out in the background, avoiding Kane's gaze while Kinger kept him busy with games and stuff? I don't know. Because, like, Kinger, like I've said before, that a bunch of the imagery around Kinger, like, there's death flags there, right? Like, there's death flags in terms of he's the sort of wise old mentor who knows more than he's letting on, right? Who knows more than what he's actually saying, and who's capable of messing with the code. And that's like in typical narratives, that's very much a death flag kind of thing. And also in the context of I have no mouth and I must scream, which this is a little bit of something that just annoys me personally. The Amazing Digital Circus is not an adaptation of I have no mouth and I must scream, the Harlan Ellison story, because that story is like a 700-word miniature novella from a magazine that's like takes the form of like a diary entry from one particularly shithead guy. If it's an adaptation of anything that has to do with that, it will be an adaptation of the video game version of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, which is a very different story. And even then, it's not a one-to-one adaptation. It just simply isn't. I think again, I don't know. Like, I won't know whether I'm right about this until the series is actually over, but I don't think it's just adapting I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. I think it is using a similar premise, but towards a very different purpose, right? I don't think it's trying to say the same things that I have no mouth and I must scream is saying. Like, as we touched on, this feels much more like a story about identity and identity stability and relating to other people and to yourself and your body, right? How do you relate to a world that fundamentally depersonalizes you, right? And alienates you? That feels more like what the show is poking at. And there's so much doors imagery here, right? Hallway full of doors. Kane's office door. The exit door. Keys. Then there's that hand. Because again, assuming this is Kinger's hand and not Kane's, which there's really no way to know, but assuming this is Kinger's fingers, he's looking at this. It's like a stop signal, right? Like the flat palm held outwards. That usually is translated as stop, right? Some kind of signal that it's time, maybe? Who knows? Who knows? The whole point of the trailer, of course, is that it is impossible to parse, right? It is not knowable. Red button, blue button. If you take the red pill, I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole truly goes. Feels like they're poking at that particular reference. The choice between remaining and leaving. And the price that comes with the leaving. Which is like, if we're doing a Matrix thing, right? Part of the point of the Matrix is that there is a price to leaving, right? There is a price to taking the red pill and waking up and understanding what the system is and how you're being exploited and oppressed. And the price is you will never be safe again, even once in your life, right? So if we're playing in that same space with this, then there's that question, like, if Pomni has a dilemma here, it'll be that question about, like, is it worth it to break everything in order to leave what she has found here, right? Like, the price might be, if we're doing a Matrix thing, the price might literally be a reverse Matrix, right? Like, you take the red pill and you wake up and you forget everything. As opposed to, like in the Matrix, that you take the blue pill and you wake up and it's all a dream. What if the price of leaving is that you forget everything? If the price of leaving is you move on and you forget about it. Forget about Jax, forget about Ragatha, forget about Gangle. What if it's a thing where there's a chance to leave, but only one person can go? Who knows? Who knows what the consequence of the button is? Another door opening. My suspicion is that Jax will be the villain here, right? Insofar as if the theme here is there's a chance to leave, right? We can open the door and we can leave. If the price of leaving is too high, right? If the thrust of the episode is that no, it's not worth that to leave, then Jax might be the one who's going, I'm gonna fucking do it, and I don't care what it costs the rest of you, because I want to forget all this, right? Again, if we're doing a Matrix thing where, like, you take the blue pill and you forget about it and you go back to sleep, you don't have to know the things that you know and you can feel at peace, Jax might be the one saying, I'm taking that. Like, I will forget everything. I'll forget everyone. I will stop having all these feelings. I will stop having these memories. I will stop being pained by the things I have experienced in here and the knowledge that is waking up inside of myself about how hurt and hollow I have become, right? Then, like, if we're like, given that we're pushing towards Jax in a villain role, going by everything that's been said, then Jax might be the one trying to push the wrong button there, right? Who has an interest in doing that, and everyone else kind of are in a position where they have to stop him, right? And it would be interesting if it's the thing of there's a chance to leave, but the price of leaving is that everyone will forget each other, right? You will forget everything that happened inside the circus, and the people inside of the circus will forget everything about you, right? That complete severing of the bond, right? Which is something that like Jax has already been playing in that space of wanting not to have these bonds because those bonds make him vulnerable. He hates them, right? And that would create the interesting situation where the entire rest of the cast have to deny Jax his opportunity for freedom because his opportunity for freedom would cost them the memory of who he is. Right? You can't just go away and leave and make all of us forget about you. You can't force us to forget you just so you have a chance to leave and forget us, right? Which would be a thorny, interesting question. It's sort of the thing of, I feel like one of the inspirations for Digital Circus also, maybe not directly, I don't know what Gooseworks has said about it, but I feel one of the inspirations here is also No Exit, which is a Jean-Paul Sartre play from, I think, the 60s, if I remember right, which is the place where we get the phrase, hell is other people, right? And the premise of the play is that 3 people have died, and they are ushered into the afterlife. And the afterlife, it turns out, is just a nicely furnished room where they have to stay with each other. No torture, no hell, no heaven, no nothing. They just have to be there and be around each other. And very quickly, it turns out that the neuroses and the insecurities and the pains and the social problems that these people have, right? All of the bad habits and all of the flaws that are in them are flaws that are just perfectly calibrated to rub one another the wrong way, right? And not just in terms of like annoy one another, but like they are all triggers for one another. Like they are all triggers for one another's worst qualities, for one another's worst impulses, worst tendencies. And one of the famous line of the play is that one of the characters concludes, "Hell is other people." But one of the things about that play is that at one point during the play, the door opens. The door that has been locked the whole time, that's kept the characters stuck together. The door opens, and there's a chance to leave. And when that chance presents itself, the characters can't take it. They can't stand the idea of leaving. They don't have the strength or courage to leave this horrible toxic situation that they're in, because in that toxic situation there's a comfort, right? Like there's a level of comfort that exists there, even in the torment of it, even though it is their torment in hell. There's a degree of comfort in that, in being seen by the other, and in having those relationships, even if they're terrible, right? Like, and that's some of the stuff. Like, No Exit is a play that people have written PhDs about. Like, it's a cornerstone of a certain branch of existential philosophy. I'm not an expert, and I'm sort of just going off the dome at 10 in the morning here. But I've felt that No Exit was a specific inspiration for Digital Circus, maybe as much as I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is. Because that question of, like, if there was an opportunity to leave, right? They've been stuck here together for so long. Like, the others, even longer than Pomni has been there, right? And they have formed these bonds. They have these relationships. If there's a chance to leave, but the price is you will never see them again, if the price is you will forget you ever knew them, think of the friends that you care about, right? Would you be willing to take that? Save yourself and forget the price you paid? Tough question. Interesting question. Again, don't know if that's what it is, but it feels that way with the imagery, that we had that, like, all these doors, we had that bucket of keys at one point there, right? A bucket of keys, which is like the classic signifier of only one of these keys will work. Good luck finding out which one it is. Right, and so much of the imagery is, this is the episode where they get a chance to leave, but we know there's going to be more episodes, so we know that they're not gonna, right? They're not gonna leave. So why not?
I think I found the way to leave.
Yeah, I don't know about that voice. I don't know if that's Kinger specifically. Curious. Guess we'll find out in 6 days. What a move to pair that with the fucking beach episode, too. Cute subversion. I mean, my best guess, if it's not Kinger's voice, is that it's this guy's voice, right? This guy who has managed to avoid Kane's attention somehow, who has disguised himself as one of just the random NPCs, or indeed, Kane talked about you can't let the AIs run for too long. He constantly has to purge them, right? He constantly has to purge and reset them so that they don't run for too long. Because that has some kind of negative consequence, right? Like, if I lose track of who's human and who's an AI, who knows what could happen, right? All these little clues and hints about the other AIs in the circus, right? That letting them live for too long, letting them become too self-aware, letting them understand their reality too well is dangerous, right? Letting them just be alive for too long without resetting them is dangerous, right? Like, it can lead to some kind of AI rampancy, or maybe, as happened with poor Gummy Goo, it can lead to, like, actual self-awareness and the introduction of existential angst, right? And once they gain existential angst and become dissatisfied or fearful of the reality that they exist within, they're going to want to leave. And what would be the consequences if one of them tried to leave? Where would they go? Where would that consciousness end up? And what would that do to the circus, and what would that do to Kane, for that matter, right? So the other thing is, like, I don't know if this is necessarily one theory I have had sort of in my head is, like, Kinger is made of wood. Those things are made of wood. Kinger can, like, it's a character design coherence between them, right? Kinger has the ability to manipulate the fabric of the digital world to a certain extent. What if early on he had the idea to corrupt or subvert just a couple of the NPCs and make them go around looking for some kind of way to fuck with the code enough to let everyone out behind Kane's back? Like, something like that. Kinger being a king, moving pawns around on a board, right? Even if for a good purpose. The other thing is that this is an NPC who somehow managed to avoid Kane's purges and has been hiding, and now has a plan to get out. And it's that NPC is going to try to push members of the circus to help them achieve that plan, right? Like, that certainly seems to be the point of this shot, is that this is meant to be very creepy, right? This is meant to be very scary in its imagery. So we might have ourselves a villain there, right? Like, someone who's trying to use the cast of the circus to get out, but who maybe doesn't plan to let everyone leave with them. Huh. I don't think I caught that little frame before. It's much too grainy to make anything useful out, but it just seems like a corner in a dark room. So yeah, that would be I guess that's my prediction, my analysis of the teaser trailer, is we begin in a place of comfort, right? They get to have a nice, happy day at the beach where everyone's kind of feeling good, except for Jax. And then this moment of comfort where they are comfortable with each other, where they are comfortable where they are, where there isn't a peril or a misery or some kind of suffering to remind them that they want to leave, where it's actually kind of nice being in the circus and just hanging out and being immortal and having friends. And everyone else, except for Jax, has sort of come together as a little extended family. That this is the moment that's interrupted with this thing. Hey, remember how you all want to leave? Remember how you all don't want to be here? Remember how you all don't actually want to be with each other forever? Remember that? Like, as a moment of emotional conflict? That feels like that feels like the valence of having the beach episode, but then also having all of these, like, what if you could leave? What if you could leave? What if you could leave? and who would want to leave. And again, I don't know if Jax is going to be the one who's like, I want to leave and I want to forget about all this, or if there's this opportunity to leave, and Jax is the one who says, no, you don't get to leave. You don't get to leave me here, right? You don't get to leave me the way that Ribbit and Kaufmo left me. You don't get to leave. You're my playthings. You are my playthings. This is my because he cannot stand the concept of everything changing so radically, right? Like, again, I think Jax is going to play the villain role, but whether he's playing the villain role in terms of I want to get out or I want to stay, I don't know, right? Like, because it could go either way depending on how much we're doing I have no mouth and how I must scream versus no exit, right? Because like I said, in no exit, part of one of the big twists in that play is that the characters can't leave. Like, the characters, because they are so deep in their neuroses, because they are so deep in all of the things that fuck them up, in all of their like the problems with their self-conception and their understanding of themselves, they can't face the idea of leaving. The idea of leaving is too painful. Because there is something comfortable in the suffering of being stuck with people that you hate, right? Or with people that make you hurt. And Jax could very much be playing that role, right? Like, the one everyone else gets a chance to leave, and he's the one who says, no, fuck you. You're my playthings. I have settled on this framing of myself that you are my playthings, and if you were to leave, I wouldn't have any playthings. And that threatens my sense of identity. That threatens my coping mechanism, like, that I've been holding on to try and sort of construct my Bugs Bunny persona to avoid having to deal with my real feelings, right? So I think Jax will play a villain role no matter what, but that's not not news. I think that's been pretty well confirmed. The question is, what direction, right? Does he want to leave? What's the price of leaving? What's the mechanism, for that matter? Because, like, that's my thing, is, like, I don't think there's a way to leave. That's my crack theory is, I don't think there is a way to leave the circus. I don't think they have bodies to go back to. How long have they been stuck in here? Like, oh, what even is the passage of time in digital circus terms? Like, if they were to leave, would Pomni just pop straight back out into her body, still wearing the headset in the office she was exploring? I don't think so. Like, because if time has actually been passing in here, and again, who knows how long time has passed, they're inside of a computer. But if time has been passing, then if you've been stuck with a headset on your head for like 4 weeks without food or water, you're dead, right? Like, that body is dead. So my theory for a while now has been, no. The headset doesn't actually transport their consciousness into the game. The headset takes a scan of their eyes and copies their brain structure or whatever and creates a copy of them in the game. Right? And that was the product back then. It's like, you can put yourself in the video game metaverse kind of thing of like you can create your own digital avatar in the digital circus and you can play around. You can make but you can put yourself in the game, but it's not really you. It's a digital copy of you, right? Like, that's been imprinted with your brain scan, but which isn't actually your person. Which is my closely held theory about what, like, there is no leaving because they are beings that were created for the digital circus, right? There is really nothing else to go back to. There is no real world to go back to. That doesn't mean that escaping the circus can't still be meaningful, because, like, hey, what if there's other stuff beyond the circus? What if there are other things, right? We still don't know what Pomni saw out there in the void. What if there are other things to go to that aren't necessarily all inside of Kane's control, right? Like, that freedom to step outside of the sandbox, right? Like, to step outside of the playground and to live a full life without being stuck in a rabbit cage. That's also a valid reason to leave, right? Yeah. I'm gonna wait until the show is over before I try and do a story analysis of Digital Circus, though. Because it really depends so much on what's the conclusion that this is building towards. The conclusion is going to inform so much about how the story is to be understood, I think. But I might do some character design. And again, it's the thing of, like, I want to do a character design video about the Digital Circus, and its aesthetic, and like the way that it implements this early 3D CG 90s edutainment aesthetic, right? I want to do that, but I do want to wait until the show's over so I can talk completely about the whole cast and everyone who's in it, and not just like, because rather than doing a video essay now and then when episode 10 comes out, or episode 9, I can't remember how many episodes there were, when the last episode comes out, all of a sudden there's this really interesting character design, and I can't really justify doing a whole nother essay just to talk about them, right? So I'm holding off on it, but damn, there's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about with regards to how the show is treating questions of interiority, identity, and existentialism. Anyway, that's probably enough. I should go do the things I'm supposed to be doing. I don't remember what they are, but there's definitely some things, and I'm sure I wrote it down somewhere. So, bye.